When we are doing the will of our true self, we are inevitably doing the will of the universe. In magic, these are seen as indistinguishable. That every human soul is in fact one human soul. It is the soul of the universe itself. And as long as you are doing the will of the universe, then it is impossible to do anything wrong.
There is this connection between everybody and his total environment.
Anytime you hear burros, you know the cameras are coming on quick. Greetings, everybody. Hi, I'm Keats, and of course, we are gathered here today in celebration of a man who needs little introduction if you follow PRAGMAGICK or We the Hallowed. An incredible creator, writer, illustrator, publisher, I would even say. I would love to talk more about independent publishing today, but Mr. Eric J. Millar.
Hey. Should I say shalom, shalom?
Yeah.
I'll take your line.
Yeah, there you go. Shalom, Matzel. But yeah, it's so funny. So Eric and I, for all intents and purposes, are business partners too. I guess
Yeah.
I could say. So we do talk every day. We're more like artistic partners.
Yeah.
But we talk every day, but because of our schedules, we rarely hear each other's voices. So
Yeah.
this is a rarity. So I'm excited to catch up.
Me too. You're usually working. I'm usually sitting at home waiting for my kid to get off of school.
Right. And speaking of your kid, so Eric's in their new house, which is really exciting. And Eric's in his son's room, which I was just marveling at the beautiful blue color. It's very Eric, that color too.
I should have gone into my bedroom because it's the We the Hallowed purple.
That's cool. So every room has its own kind of distinct.
So far. Yeah. The living room's going to be green soon. So
awesome. Yeah, I love that. Just having that intentional kind of atmosphere in every room.
You know? Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of one of the problems with rentals. They all feel like asylums because they're all white.
Yeah, I know. You try to just clutter it up,
yeah,
but that white still comes out.
Yep.
But so yes, hello everybody in chat. Jonaside, good to see you. Hello Mario, Philip, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited to talk about Wombat. And Mario asks, is a wombat the one from Rocco's Modern Life?
I think he's a wombat. I think he is a wombat.
I know he's a it's another marsupial, but it's not a kangaroo. It's I'll think about it. Is it a wombat?
I think he's a wombat.
I'm gonna obsess over this, so we better move on. Hello, Lynn. How are you? Good to see you. So yes, Wombat is actually the title of Eric's brand new book that he self-published, which you can find on Lulu. I'm gonna go ahead and put the address in the chat. And yeah, Eric has a copy. I think the test copy, which you can kind of show us.
I got the test copy with the old title.
Let's see if we can do that. Solo layout, yeah. So explain the title of Wombat, actually.
All right, so about a month and a half ago, I went to Minnesota and visited my mother and my dad. Like I visited family, and my mom had this little book of old text message acronyms from 2001. And I just started flipping through it, and I found WOMBAT. Stands for waste of money, brains, and time.
Nice.
And I was like, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah. Which is basically like every artistic venture, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I was thinking about that today. I think you and I have found a space where we're like actually rather enjoying the freedom of not having it be kind of, all encompassing, like financially and and otherwise there is a certain freedom in that we're just kind of, we make things when we feel like it.
Yep.
It's been our ability to continue to create a bunch is because we're not weighed down by like scheduling or,
Yeah.
you know, any kind of mature process when it
Oh
comes to
yeah.
promotion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I lose interest the more work I have to put into everything outside of the art. Like that
Yeah.
when I do press, when I do anything like that, I try to sell it. I hate it. I hate it. I can't stand being a salesman.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start making art to be a salesman. I started art to be an artist and make stuff because I like making stuff. So sales is
Yeah.
hard. Sales is hard for me.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about, I think that, I often find that bittersweet moment. It's usually like, it can be seconds, it can be hours after you release something,
Mhm.
where you do feel like a release and something is done, you put it to bed, and then you're obsessive about the next thing.
Oh
But
yeah.
go through the like, even it's especially in music, like to go through the press train.
Mhm.
When Cactus Crown came out, I told myself I was actually going to, get it reviewed and send it to places. And it was almost a year of that just existing in that while I was doing other shit. I
Yeah.
didn't want to talk about it anymore. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've I think disruption generator is the only thing I ever did a real push on.
Mhm.
And yeah, by the end of like a year and a half of doing that, I was just like, no, no more, no more.
Yeah.
I'm tapping out.
Well, in disruption generator too, it's funny because it's often that ironic thing where almost like the less intentful, almost like a sort of, you were super intentful about it, but almost the schema of it wasn't as like rigorous. I guess
Mhm.
it was because you did have to illustrate like weekly, right? And put
Yeah.
them on. But I mean, like you used a random word generator and then illustrated the word, and you did that for 120 illustrations. So yeah,
Yeah.
saying it out loud, that is very taxing.
It's pretty intense. And then spending like the next 6 or 8 months like talking about it.
Yeah. I just meant like, when it comes to books, and which we'll talk about right
Mhm.
now, which, you've written narratively and you've written, you know, uh more kind of just word focused and stuff.
Mhm.
There is something about it never feeling finished and
Yeah.
having to, basically it's like having a stillborn child almost, and then you're
Mhm.
having to parade it around because
Yeah.
the actual, successfully birthed thing just didn't come yet, you know
Mhm.
not that saying any of your work is doing that. I just mean like the that kind of process of it's not finished and I'm having to kind of promote
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
disruption generator felt like it in and of itself was an entire concept. Like it didn't
Yeah.
have a lot of rigmarole in your brain about it. It was like a simple schema that
Oh
you
yeah.
kept up with. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like churned it out essentially. Like it was
Mhm.
very intentful. It was I put all my focus on it, but I was churning like by the 120th, it just became my routine.
What's really cool is, so I've been doing Disruption Mondays for Patreon.
Hmm.
I did one that was public, but basically it's using your disruption generator and then using the ALW cipher.
Hmm.
And what it's done too, in a weird way, is it's made me really marvel at your posts for the disruption generator,
Yeah.
because you illustrated these things and then you made an article for each one. And what we've been doing is like going to our site, which Eric and I's site is We the Hallowed. We'll look up deer, which is one of your disruption
Hmm.
generators, and there's a whole easy compendium to find them and everything you need. But
No.
imagine 120. And those of you watching that don't know the background or like the back end of what it takes to kind of publish an article, it's not that easy. It's not like a Facebook post. There's a lot
No.
of design and SEO and rather boring things that go into it.
Hmm.
But Eric did this for 120 illustrations, and that's a feat in and of itself. It's something that I've been marveling at lately, because that alone is intense. And then you collect
No.
them into a book and you self-publish the book, and then it takes on a life of its own. People
Hmm.
start using it divinatorially. Like how have you felt about its recent legacy, because I guess it's coming up on
Oh man,
4
almost
years,
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Next year will be 5 years. Yeah, and I don't know. It's crazy. Like I haven't seen that many people talking about it anymore, but I'm kind of like, in a way, I'm kind of glad because it feels like it had its big burn moment, and then now it's this obscure thing that people can just discover.
Yeah, and you can still purchase it too on.
Yeah.
What I love about yours, for some reason, I don't know if you chose to do this, but you can get short links to share for your books, and I haven't found that for other ones.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's in the chat too. Portable disruption generator.
All right.
We'll come back to this, but yeah, again, so what I love is Wombat comes from acronyms used in text which sound totally made up. Like, who spoke
Yeah.
like that? In
Oh,
text messages.
yeah. No, nobody did. Nobody did. Like the original title, that is the end of the end of the world as we know it. Nobody ever used that acronym. Ever. Never no Teotihuacan was never used by anyone.
Yeah,
Never.
and I like that one because it reminds me of like an Aztec kind of word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Wombat, which I love, waste of brains, money, and time.
Mm-hmm.
Is this like? I mean, I know I get your humor, but yes, is this? I mean, it's kind of an overall saying of the work itself, or is it more of just kind of a joshing?
It's kind of a joshing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a joshing because I know the name kind of spins out of a resentment towards AI art.
Yeah.
And the fact that people have been marveling over stuff that's just generated by a computer in a string of words. Like, I mean, I'm sure people are like coming up with really intricate ways of like telling a machine to do something, but you can go to a KFC and tell a machine an intricate drink order. Does that mean that that's a piece of art?
That it's a chef basically.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I think now, since the big hullabaloo, I think the recent findings that AI art can't be copywritten has burned it for a lot of those would-be people, because yeah, I think they thought like, oh shit, I can become an artist and maybe actually make money off of this.
And now you can't make money off of it unless you're selling it to rubes.
Exactly.
Just like NFTs.
So the book itself, I know we've talked about it a lot, but it's kind of a compendium of sorts. So
it is.
It's basically like another modern art book, right?
It is. It is. I'll bring up the contents. I'll get the hang of this camera here soon. So it's 6 different projects that none of them felt like they could live on their own. Because I would finish a project and just make a book every time. And that made it really impossible to make short projects. Like I couldn't do like a 16-page thing. I couldn't do a 30-page thing because I couldn't wrap it around a book. And like I don't like selling books for a lot of money because I don't want to feel like I'm ripping people off.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 6 books in one is a hell of a deal as it is,
Well, and for $20, it's like,
that's incredible.
It's pretty thick. It's 215 pages.
Because I have to say, one of the works in there, especially Assemblage of Disparate Parts, is I think one of my all-time favorites of yours. I think it's like a seminal work of yours. So that alone should be worth.
Oh yeah, I took all of the collages I did for that book and gave them some room to breathe, because like that's a hell of a lot bigger than it was in the original book.
Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have
a lot bigger. It doesn't have the text. It's just the art.
Awesome. That's really cool.
It's like this stuff did not have room to breathe before. And it's on like fancy slick paper, heavier, like a better print quality. So like the details really shine through like they didn't before.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. You had sent me like an actual one that you had made, and just to see
Hmm.
what that process looked like was jarring because it's like really intricate of a
Yeah,
collage. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of double-sided tape.
Yeah.
I don't like using glue because the pieces were too small, so I had to use double-sided tape. I was using like leftover double-sided tape we had from weatherizing our windows a couple
Nice.
years ago.
I love it. There's a very like blue collar feel to that, you know.
Hmm.
But what I was gonna say about Wombat too, there was something like yeah, with Disruption Generator, you had done a short run release of the big hardbacks, and
I
those
did.
were gorgeous, like
Hmm.
amazing, beautiful works. I know that they were very costly to
Yes.
do. And so it's something like that in the future. Do you have in mind something like that would need to be like crowdfunded or
It either be crowdfunded and printed myself,
Mhm.
or like the problem with doing hardcovers with print on demand is hardcovers cost a lot of money with print on demand.
Yeah,
Like the Disruption Generator I did, the printing price was $20 a book, and I was selling it for 35, so I could try to get it on some store shelves and stuff. That never happened because
mhm.
one of the things that people don't understand, I don't think, about how wholesaling books works is most stores will pay you for half of the cover price. So you have to double the price if you want to make money on it.
I see. Yeah. So
But
like
like,
when you buy on the barcodes at bookstores, like I just recently bought a book in a local occult shop, and I was surprised that they charged me the price that was on the barcode and
yeah,
not like some additive thing. But I guess it makes sense if they're already just making half of that
yeah,
in
yeah.
general.
They're buying the book for half the price that's on the cover, and
Mhm.
then that other half goes between production costs, paying the editors, the authors, all of that stuff. If you self-publish, it just goes right to the person that made the book. But like for me, I'm my own editor and designer and all of that stuff. So any money that comes from a sale from my books goes right to me.
Yeah, and that's really nice and beneficial. I do think there's
Yeah,
something there. Yeah, maybe about crowdfunding a bulk so that you could disperse them in brick
yeah,
and mortar. I
yeah.
think that would be great. I mean, your books would be awesome in like the local comics shops, and
Oh yeah,
Fantagraphics, I'm sure would absolutely carry some of this stuff, up
yeah.
here in
It would
Seattle.
be nice. It would be nice, but
But isn't that always the thing, right? It's that
yeah,
upfront cost. I
it
mean,
really is. Like
yeah,
getting any kind of distributor, I would have to buy a bunch, and I'd have to change the prices because like right now, this is priced almost like I almost don't make anything off of it.
right.
I make a small profit. It's a $20 book for like 200 pages of glossy paper and all of that stuff. But like I don't make a whole lot off of it because I want people to be able to buy
Right.
it.
And a lot of the reason too is, using something like on print demand or on demand printing is,
Hmm.
yeah, it goes direct to whoever wants
Yeah.
it, not a huge middleman.
No.
So I get that. I get the modernity of it is really
Yeah.
convenient for both publisher and, you
Yeah.
know,
Well,
customer.
it's like Bandcamp. You
Yeah.
put a release on Bandcamp so people can buy it basically
Yeah.
directly from you and have one middleman.
Yeah, I definitely want to get back into print media, for sure. I mean, you've been a big light about that. Just having a bookshelf of mine, you know, full of your books. Of It's just awesome. Like
Yeah.
Derek Hunter's good at that too. You know, Haunt Manual is going to be printed, but
Mhm.
I always want to pick your brain about that because, like, where do we go next? Is it really just kind of we're keeping on the kind of self-printing through these suppliers? Is
Mhm.
there any kind of service or way to get into more of like a local or a brick and I guess that's it, right? Yeah, because brick and mortar you would have to buy bulk and they
Mhm.
would have to sell them. or like consignment, right? Like it would be if
Yeah.
I sold records at Amoeba or something.
Yeah, and I used to do consignment at Floating World here in Portland.
Yeah, I love Floating World.
Yeah, it's basically like the best comic book store you could ever go into. And I had some of my books on the shelf there, but they started refusing some of the more text heavy ones because they were like, these aren't comics, we're not gonna carry these.
Right.
Like most of their consignment stuff are zines and mini comics and like
Mhm.
little things. Like I was coming in with like full size graphic novels and being like, hey, can you sell this? And they're like, no.
Interesting. Yeah, we sold the Hallowed zines at Floating World way back
Yep.
when,
Yep.
that first one. But I was gonna say, I do think there's something, I do want to bridge it back. There's something in my head, and it's like an itch, and it's almost like the salons we used to do.
Mhm.
But there is kind of a traveling, the way a lot of artists, especially in the music sphere, and even in book writing, a lot of like readings, right?
Mhm.
There's a live and in-person kind of event oriented way, and like a
Yeah.
traveling book fair salon type thing would just be
Oh, that would be
awesome.
awesome. That
Yeah.
would be awesome. And I think there would be a desire for that.
Hmm.
It would just be, I think there would be a lot of upfront costs that the average independent artist wouldn't be able to carry these days.
Yeah, we were talking recently too about how funny it is that we're watching, very politically charged people make millions of dollars off of like independent
Oh,
comics
yeah.
from crowdfunding,
Yeah.
and the comics are shit like,
No,
across the
yeah,
board.
yeah. Those, yeah, they're
Yeah.
making money off of their politics. They're not making money off of what they're making. They're making it off of what they're saying.
Yeah, and I think, but with that said, as that example, it's like there's got to be a way. I think there is something to crowdfunding. I've always been afraid of it. I think
Yeah.
my ego would, whatever's left of my ego would die a very, very unpleasant death if I couldn't raise a small amount of money to print something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've kept away from it, but I'm sure who knows? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I've kept away from it because I've heard it turns into a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like doing a crowdfunding campaign becomes a full-time job where you're constantly fielding questions, you're constantly dealing with like feedback, you're dealing with trying to push it every single day, like hour after hour, pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And it's just like this endless press rush before the thing even comes out and people can actually discuss the thing you're making.
Yeah, it's almost like I guess that's where a lot of the criticism falls flat too about those billion-dollar crowdfunding comics is people already made up their minds when they,
Yep.
paid and supported. It's like buying shares or stock,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that's not even out yet, and you don't know how it's going to read. And if you feel like you partly own this thing, like you don't want to give it fair criticism. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I mean, I have been burned a couple times doing Kickstarters where the stuff like just never showed up. And it felt like I wasted my money
Yeah,
because it just never showed up.
I hear that a lot too. Is that like a common,
I think it all
is that a
depends.
common grift?
I don't know because sometimes it's for legitimate reasons, sometimes it's for like bullshit reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's a documentary that I crowdfunded, like I gave money to, that I gave it to him 7 years ago.
Wow.
Still not out.
Right, and I guess you don't have it like for the however much money you gave, it's not really worth any like legal
Yeah.
recourse or.
Oh yeah, no. I think
Yeah.
I gave him like $50 so I could get some extra stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of self-publishing, Scavenge Rituals is here. What's up, man?
Hey,
We have both worked with Scavenge Rituals,
No.
which is a great
Have,
new zine, self-published, very cool.
nope. I have illustrations in both issues.
Yes, you do. And I've got the 7-inch in the first one, which
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah, that was bucket list stuff for sure. I'll
Oh,
put
yeah.
Scavenge Rituals link in the chat. Please check it out. It's beautiful stuff. Very cool. Homemade, but at the same time, high quality. Awesome
Yeah.
stuff.
It was so close to being a bucket list thing for me on making a record cover. But
Oh, I mean, yeah, we'll still do
it was
that.
just some printer stuff that wasn't quite working right. But I
Oh,
still got
really?
to have a. Yeah, I couldn't. He couldn't get the CD sleeves
Oh, that's
to get
right.
printed on, and it's. I'm still happy to have that illustration in the actual zine, but man, so close to being a record cover.
That really should have been a 7-inch cover too. It still will be.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we'll still use it for something. I've
Oh yeah.
got the Revel Ross stuff. I'm actually going to in the studio album, I'm breaking up the songs with excerpts of the Audiomancy. Kind of weaves it all together. And so, yeah, that's part of that. So that'll have to be part of there. There you go. You are both so inspirational in your approach to art, and I wish you only the best for your
Oh,
numerous efforts. Thank you very much, sir.
thank
And
you.
you have been amazing to us. We appreciate you.
No,
Um,
always happy to contribute.
yeah, I mean, that felt good. That's like, I think, stuff where we are engineered for is
Oh yeah.
someone's making a super artistic DIY thing, and I want to be any part of that anyone needs, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly just like making shit.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
anything that I can do that might challenge what I do, I revel in the chance to do it. Like I love it. I love it. And like doing the illustration for that first issue for your album, like
Mhm.
that, I took that as a challenge. I was like, well, how can I actually make something that would be a good piece of album art?
I mean, the fact that you whip that out too, like your rhythm on when we work with haunt manual stuff, and I'm like, hey, this is the next chapter, this is what it's gonna be about. Do you have any ideas? I could use some art I haven't used before. In like 20 minutes, Eric will send me basically the
Like
entire aesthetic. Yeah, that's for an
little
upcoming one.
yeah, sneak peek there.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give a full screen of that. And you can see the actual textures, and you're using old book covers too, which is
Yeah,
just
it's an old book cover. Like
yeah,
that's been the I have another one.
yeah.
There we go.
That's the one that's out this week or next week. Sneak
Yeah.
peek.
It's all analog
Mm-hmm.
on
Oh,
book
put up
covers.
the gematria one again, because what's really cool, if you get closer on the numbers, they are stickers, right? Yeah.
Yeah. They are they are stickers I stole from a job over a decade ago.
Yeah. I
I
love it.
just I just had it squirreled away somewhere.
But yeah, that's the art for this next haunt manual. And real quick, the Ren Collier and ALW Cypher Pragmagick podcast, I had to re-edit from scratch after
Oh,
hours of work.
oh man.
You know, part of me is like, "Hey, Mercury retrograde, what are you gonna do?" And another part of me is like, "Fuck that," you know. um, those are the two warring sides of me all the time. But I think, yeah, I'm glad I did. I worked for it. I worked on it for hours yesterday, and I'm like, no, this is better. So I think it's those, and I'm sure you go through those too,
Oh,
where
yeah.
something just erases hard work and art, and you're like, I'm sure you've had to learn to just let it go or say like, oh, it wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be
Yeah, you
that.
roll with it. You
Yeah,
roll with it. Like you can't help it. Like I've lost entire projects, and it's why I like obsessively back up everything now. Like all of my art has the original file plus backups in 2 different locations just in case I have a hard drive crash.
yeah,
So
yeah. And it's funny. Some folks I was talking to about that. You always get the platitudes of like, this is a lesson about maybe letting things go or blah blah blah. And I'm like, you've obviously never had multiple backpacks full of handwritten,
yeah,
you know, chapters of books and notes and drawings and shit stolen from you. Like
yeah.
there is an ache to that
Oh
cannot be replaced,
yeah, yeah. I had an entire portfolio of paintings get moldy in my old house, the place
Oof.
that we just moved out of.
Yeah.
Didn't find it until we moved, and I had to get rid of like 20 paintings because they were covered in mold. and
Did they
it
look
was
cool?
heartbreaking.
Yeah. Or
No, it looked
no.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It looked and smelled disgusting, and I had to get it out of the house.
Yeah. My immediate thought is like, "Ooh, what did it look like, though?" You know.
Yeah, just gross.
It's
Just
probably
gross.
cancerous, but if it looked cool, no.
Uh,
It reminds me of the I remember I went to MoMA in Los Angeles when I was like in high school,
mhm,
and because there was an Andy Warhol exhibit, um, and of course, that was the like the Velvets and all of that shit were huge
mhm.
when I was for me
Yeah.
when I was a kid. But going there, and I remember standing in front of this copper painting that had all of these green boils and like chemical pustules on it.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at it, I'm wondering what it is. And I hear a tour guide explain it. And they said that Andy Warhol painted this canvas with copper paint, then stuck it in the corner of his factory, and he locked his bathroom. And he said, anyone who needs to use the restroom, go onto this canvas, on the copper canvas. And I caught myself, I'm in this really high-end museum, and I'm staring at this painting going, that's Lou Reed's piss on this. And it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's literal piss art,
Oh man, that reminds me of Piss Christ.
Piss Christ, that sounds familiar.
There was a little jar of piss with a crucifix inside of it. I can't remember who the artist was, but it went for a lot of money, and it was just literally a jar of piss with a crucifix in it.
Oh, that's great. I gotta look that up. Piss Christ, that's funny. That
Yeah.
reminds me of what was it, Ghost World, the
Mm.
tampon in the teacup. Oh boy.
Oh, art.
Yeah. So you did we have Wombat. There's an article and stuff. People
Mhm.
can find more about it on We the
No.
Hallowed. But other than, I know you've recently X'd out of Twitter, but
That's
I
been a
saw
while. That has
yeah,
been a while now.
that's been a while. Are there any other kind of I guess like I'd say just more like promotional aspects you think people could, kind of reach out to
Me?
you for, yeah, or
Well,
you
I mean,
know,
I'm still on Instagram.
yeah. I mean,
And I
because
s-
honestly, that's why I use Instagram, or it's just a
yeah,
post about stuff that we're making.
yeah. Well, and it used to be like the ideal platform for sharing art because
Yeah.
it was very, very just image based, and it's only in the last couple years that it's become about videos. I don't know, like my recommendations went from being a bunch of things about art and cool artists to women
Oops.
jiggling their boobs at a camera. So
Yeah. It's the TikTokification.
yeah.
All right. There's Scavenge Rituals again, but here is Eric's Instagram for those of you that use it and want to follow. It's great. He posts art, and that's what you want.
That's all I post.
Yeah. Yeah, and I only ask because, to go back to the AI thing, I don't know if you want to dig into that a little more, but I know it could be like incendiary.
You mean the article I wrote?
Well, there's that. There's the article, but it's also like, I think that was, kind of a background to what Wombat you said was becoming.
Yeah. Wombat started from that, and then the next book came from that.
That's right.
Where,
And those,
yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the next book is essentially an autobiography. Like I decided I was just gonna, because I came to an idea that art is a memory machine.
Mhm.
That art made by an artist, it's created and manifested from millions of little pieces that you pick up as you go, and
Right.
that what goes into your art. No matter what, it's pieces of you going into that, and that is the thing that is essentially removed through AI art and generative art and stuff like that, using ChatGPT, using anything that artificially creates the stuff, is it removes the memory
Human
machine
filter.
part of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Is there's no humanity to it, because that's what art is. Art is humanity. It is your memories. It is your person, no matter what you're making. Even if it's not expressly there, the pieces of it are.
Yeah. I guess, I mean, that's, yeah, very similar to Haunt Manual.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a very, you know, hauntology of the self, you know, through the discography of
Yeah.
self, or
Yeah.
like through even just, you know, spiritual growth and practice and how it pertains to art over the years or how it's created. And I
Yeah.
was thinking about that the other day. Like, there's no part of Haunt Manual I could use AI for,
Yeah.
you know, like there's
No.
no element of it. I guess maybe, I guess, yeah, what we, if we define AI, I mean, I think what everybody, if we were to define it, I think it's obvious what we mean by, you know, the kind of current prompt based
Yeah.
generative, not
Yeah.
like you know, mastering tools for music or whatever, but like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if you're just using AI to touch up something you've already made, I feel that that's completely legitimate. Like putting filters on things and stuff like that. That's legit. But the moment you're just like typing in a string of words and or giving like an outline of what you want a machine to make for you, you're making a hot dog. You're not.
yeah, I saw that there was a title for those folks,
Mm.
and like prompt conductor or something, and I was like, it's gone full bore, like it's jumped the shark.
Oh.
Like, yeah, if
Oh.
you're titling yourself or priding yourself on like
Oh.
your prompt, you know.
Well, I know some people like sell prompts. Like they sell their services as being expert prompters, and
Yeah,
that's bananas.
I mean, if someone will pay for it, I guess I can
Yeah.
see, like, I can see being good at it, like knowing. I think it also, you know, there's an artistic thing about it too, about, you know, being succinct or erudite with language, or being
Hmm.
very direct about elements. You know,
Yeah.
you can't just say 1940s photograph. You'll have to say like, you know, uh height of World War II circa, you know, Prague
Yeah.
in blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, photograph. So like giving it more of those directives is kind of an art, but I do find that funny that people would pay for that. And what would they use it for? Like,
I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
just
It's
to
like
make
the
cool stuff, just to look at, you know?
yeah, it's like the people that make like the what if Wes Anderson made Star Wars videos, where it's just
Mhm.
these series of pictures that they ran through like Mid Journey, where have like a certain style to it, but it's still not quite right. It's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah, I've seen those,
prompts.
or like they'll animate the mouths of the
Yeah,
actors. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's a
no,
gimmick. Yeah,
it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
yeah.
You're driving views based on the fame of Star Wars,
Mhm.
Wes Anderson, and you're just trying to ride that train and making fan art with a
Yeah.
machine.
When it comes to this stuff, I mean, you know, I started recording and releasing music when I was 13, and that was
Hmm.
at like the genesis of the digital audio workstation,
Hmm.
you know, and that was also around mp3.com. So that was, you know, I could alone create an entire song, play all the instruments, have as many takes as I wanted, you know,
Hmm.
to get it right, export it, upload it to mp3.com, collect it in a CD, and get a CD mailed to me, like
Yeah,
I was putting out an album. So I see, you know, and that it made me feel, I guess, like a record label, right?
yeah,
Or some sort of manufacturer. So I get the like the gimmick of having that feeling that, you know, you are part of this process that seemed far away, you know,
yeah,
or
yeah.
unreachable. But just like anything, you know, the gimmick died down. Like I remember, I mean, it's all the way back to, you know, Detroit techno or whatever, where people were going nutsoid about just, you know, um, samplers and, you know,
Hmm.
with a few little prompts or primitive kind of tweaks, you could create an entire song,
Yeah,
and people were excited about it. And then it died down, you know? And
yeah.
I feel like this is not unlike something
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah. This
Yeah.
is definitely it's definitely it seems like a pretty short cycle too, because I don't see that many people actually talking about the generative art anymore.
Mhm. I
It's
really do think it's that
the
copyright thing.
copyright thing. Yeah, people
Yeah.
thought they could own what they were making, even though it was made from the
Mhm.
scraps of other people's work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why sample culture kind of died too, is that instead of like allowing for samples to happen, now artists charge a great deal of money when you want to use a sample of their music.
That's like kind of an underlying thing with like Mark Fisher's, capitalist realism
mm-hmm,
or whatever, or even like his take on hauntology or like the no future. It's all
mm-hmm.
just like recycled past stuff, and we've hit a moment where, oh yeah, and Mario. So somebody that Mario and I watch, CW Chanter,
Mm-hmm.
often has this saying, "No new music." Now, I think he means it to be a bit more acerbic about that, like indefinite. But I get it in the sense of like, yeah, but that shouldn't dissuade you from doing something through your filter. There might
Yeah,
be someone that's similar, but through your own, even like, and that's the big thing for me with like the individuality of like music, is the physicality of it too, or
yeah,
drawing, right? And art
yeah,
is
yeah,
like someone can copy your style, but they can't fine tune your exact physical anchors and rhythms and movements, and you know what
right,
I mean?
right,
They can cover
right,
the song, they can sample the song, but yeah,
yeah,
it's interesting. It's I've definitely gone down the rabbit hole a bit, the thought processes, because I think the AI art really riled me up in the
mm-hmm.
beginning. Um, and then it just kind of, I was like, this is just like when fucking Fruity Loops came out and everyone became a DJ.
Right, right,
It's like it's not taking jobs from me. There's still people that want, the kind of, how do I put it? I don't want to say analog, but like the more human error filled.
human. They want the
Yeah,
human art.
the human art, it's not, it's like that was the difference though with the AI art thing, was the
Mm-hmm.
conversations we were having with people that were saying, instead of uh I can't afford comic artists to create my
Yeah,
comic. So now AI art has given me the opportunity to illustrate my comic. And that, I guess I can see that from their point of view, but from like the macro looking at it, it's like, so essentially you really are taking jobs away from artists. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, oh, we don't need you. I'll just settle for this. And it's never going to be, you know, as good as you want it to be. You can't fine tune it really that
yeah.
well,
Well,
so
and I mean, the secret with that too, like using your example, like there are millions of people that want to illustrate comics. And if you can pitch your idea to one of them, they will probably do it for free if you
yeah,
share the copyright with them. Like if
yeah.
you share the trademark, you go, okay, we will be partners in this. We are both investing time and money in this.
hmm I know of someone who makes AI pictures of elderly family members, to make pictures of their younger self in various adventures. That's interesting. Spooky. Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of people struggle with technology. It's from Philip Blair. Yeah, that's spooky. I mean, that's kind of cool in a hauntological artistic sense of, like lost futures of these relatives. Like you can kind of illustrate what would happen through the eyes of, what seemingly real photographs. But
Yeah.
it also sounds like, and again, I'm not paranoid about anything like that. The idea, it seems neat, but there is something
Yeah.
fucking spooky about it.
I can see like the wish fulfillment idea of
Yeah.
that. It's kind of like a sense of role play.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. I kind of understand that for like doing it for yourself. Like I don't see like the idea of like, let's say you were doing that and then selling it as a story about yourself and like selling that as like,
Yeah.
I actually did this, look at this picture.
Yes, and I think that was the biggest criticism I think we both shared for when that was happening,
Yeah.
was, someone that gets AI art to illustrate their comic book, but they don't outright say it. It says illustrated and written by blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and that was the big thing, is like, do AI art, just don't pass it off like you did the AI art,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
I mean, it's yeah.
You can say like, prompt by, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we're probably old hats in this, just because we're so much on the other sphere, where I think both of us are really diving into even deeper tendrils of DIY and human error. and like
Mhm.
the beauty and like, just the kind of the rough and tumble of human experience, transferred from memory and processes and mistakes and relationships and all of that, into stuff.
Yeah.
And sure, that's been done time and time immemorial, but again, that's like the human experience. That's like what this
Yeah.
is.
But
Yeah.
also like the act of prompting something like that means you already have a mental picture of that.
Ah,
You've already imagined yourself in that situation. Do you really, how could an AI photograph
yeah, create that.
even compare to your imagined idea of what you're
Mm.
seeing? Like in a way, it's recontextualizing your imagination, so you're imagining what it shows you instead of what you're imagining for yourself.
Right. And in that sense, do you snuff out your imagination and
Yeah,
accept the one that was created
created.
for you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of thoughts on that where it's just like
Yeah.
I just I like people being able to use their imaginations to make things with their own hands.
Yeah, and I think that's where I come by. My
Yeah,
entire thing has always been the confluence. I
yeah,
I use samplers and
yeah.
synthesizers and or whatever MIDI.
I
I
mean,
have in the
like,
past. I've gotten to a part where if I am sequencing, it's my samples that I've recorded that are mine. You know what
yeah,
I mean? But it's
yeah,
me playing. It's me playing the drums, or it's me playing the guitar, or it's from something that I created in the past. It's like a self-sample culture. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And there's like that aspect of like that confluence of utilizing both and like having fun dancing with it. Drum
yeah,
machines is like dancing with it. Sure, I'm creating the
yeah.
patterns, but you're limited to what it can do, you know.
Right, right.
And
Well, and
playing music
like,
on top of that, drumming on top of that, that's
you're
like
building on
playing
it.
with it instead of it playing for you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're an organ grinder when you
Right.
when you just like have something else do it for you. You're turning a crank and the music plays.
Right. You're the
But
monkey.
like, you're the monkey. You're
Yeah.
not the organ. You're the monkey.
Mhm.
But
You
like,
were gonna show something, so I put you in
yeah,
position.
like even I sample like this came from a children's book about ants,
That's
but I
right.
turned
Yeah.
it into something else. Like I physically took a marker after it and cut pieces out and like made it its own thing. It's sampling, but it's sampling in a completely different way.
Yeah, and you also set parameters almost by like if you think of prompts, right? Like the
Yeah.
AI, you can choose like, hey, every 3 words cross
Hmm.
something out, or every 3 lines cross something out. I guess what I'm getting to is like in the future, I'm sure AI could make those micro decisions of,
Yeah.
those prompt decisions like that, but still it wouldn't be how you would have done it. Or maybe
Right.
it could, I
Yeah.
should probably
Who
talk to my
knows?
father about this at some point.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
because
I mean I've heard one legitimate, like one thing that I feel like I wholeheartedly see as a good purpose of generative art.
yeah, I would
And
say yes and no, both. He does it
yeah,
all, but comedy,
yeah,
dark comedy is a big part
it
for
does
sure.
happen. It happens sometimes. Um, but like with AI generative art, I have seen somebody who couldn't use their hands anymore in a really useful way. Someone that can't physically do the thing using generative art to use to make what they can't physically make.
Mhm.
I wholeheartedly agree. Go for it. That is
Yeah.
actually kind of miraculous that a person could be able to do that.
But even to your point, it still wouldn't be the image they had in mind.
No,
Yeah,
no. And like, and I don't draw exactly what comes out of my head either.
for sure. Yeah, I think
Like,
that's a
yeah,
life's work is translating
like
that. Yeah.
the stuff that I make isn't exactly right either, but it's what I made and it's what I generated off of
Mhm.
what I was imagining. But yeah, now I wish I would have grabbed one of my
Let's
what
see.
are the
AI is a
names of
flat mirror image of our collective memories. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a pool, but it's only a pool up to a certain time. Like the thing
yeah,
that I find funny about Chat GPT is the cutoff is like 2020 or something. Like
Yeah.
it's pulled all from the internet up until 2020. So like it doesn't exist after that. So we're really talking to a ghost. We're talking
Yeah.
to regurgitated, falsified or like regurgitated memories in a chasm that's limited in a way.
Yeah.
Often
Well,
a parody of our own imagination. Yeah, but most people don't rise above that status, I would say.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would agree. I think it is kind of self-parody in a way.
Mm-hmm. It's
But
the
also,
whole
like, when in 2020, what was the cutoff in 2020? Was it pre-COVID paranoia or post-COVID paranoia?
it probably was like, oh yeah, I think because that was also like the big misinformation internet
Yeah,
scare
like
thing. So I wonder
like
if they just
misinformation
consciously,
exploded in 2020. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think there has been a year with more misinformation than 2020.
There you go. We're starting it here, folks. ChatGPT, the ghost of 2020. I guess, and essentially a ghost that's younger than me, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
When did online go online? You know what I mean?
Oh man.
Early 90s?
I
Late
think
80s?
so. Like,
Yeah.
I think my parents got the internet when I was like 13,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
back
My
on
stepdad,
dial-up days.
yeah, my stepdad, I do commend him for this. He taught himself computers, so we were always like in like these crazy like hacker junk like stores just full of CD-ROMs and
Hmm.
weird things, and he had this room and he was always building and stuff, and so I was always like I was around it and I kind of knew it and was kind of natural with it. I think that's
Yeah.
why digital recording was so easy for me,
Hmm.
because to come from 4-track cassette tapes and bouncing tracks and duplicating as just to like, oh, if I screw up it doesn't ruin the entire song, all right, let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to think that that was almost like the specter of a brother,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, or like a sibling that I was growing up alongside of, and then it just caps at 2020. It died of COVID in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
um but yeah, the ghost of 2020. Yeah. uh
Yeah.
this is crazy. Yeah, tons of AI tarot decks
I
out
am not
there.
surprised by that at
Yeah.
all. I'm sure that's a Wes Anderson tarot deck.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a Wes Anderson, A.E. White
No.
influenced, Art Deco tarot deck. It's like,
No.
yeah,
I
it's
bet
funny. It feels to me like it's just aesthetics. It's like everyone is.
Mhm.
It's just an aesthetic culture.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to
Yeah.
my younger brother, and he seems to be into this thing too. Like, wasn't about the art so much. It was like, yeah, but it's a cool aesthetic. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, and like the aesthetic they were talking about was so literal. Um,
Ugh.
I don't want to like. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
give an
No. No. I get
example,
it.
but
I get
like
it.
I just remember the aesthetic was so literal, and I was like, to me that's I don't know. There's some like death of the aesthetic. Then you know what I mean. Once it
Yeah.
becomes a literalism or like a uniform of some sort, it's just like, well,
Yeah.
we're done with that now. Like if
Yeah. Well,
it's fine now.
when do we rebel against this?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
every artistic movement has had some point of rebellion. When do we
Yeah.
rebel against this like vapid aesthetic culture and move towards something with content again?
It's Instagram filter culture. It
It
like
is.
really
It
is,
is.
you know.
Like, I am ready for the death of social media,
Yeah.
and I think it'll be so good for the human psyche when social media dies.
I've resigned to the fact that it's gonna just have to be something I'm gonna have to learn, to work
I
with.
I
Yeah.
think it's going to fundamentally change soon.
Mhm.
I think we're about ready for a big change, and I'm really hoping it's not like TikTok. I'm hoping TikTok isn't like the vanguard of the future, and everybody just does stupid little video clips.
Yeah. So actually, I did this experiment, because everybody was telling me get a TikTok. It'll support the podcast. You'll blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, I have this experiment. Not only will I test AI, but I will use it with TikTok. So I don't
Mhm.
have to go into TikTok. I never do really,
Yeah, yeah,
at all. And so there's an AI program out there that takes like my podcasts. You can upload like up to 2 hours, which sucks because a lot of mine are longer.
Yeah.
The good ones anyway. And then it will somehow highlight like bite-sized clips in TikTok form and caption them
Yeah.
and have it ready for you just to upload like that. And it's insane to me. And it's never the stuff I would pick. I'm like, this is not a highlight from this episode. We talked about way better things than
Yeah.
this, but it's
No.
because maybe it was more clear and concise, or it thought like this was a full thought, you know what I mean? Or I don't know how it picks that, but yeah, that's what I've been putting up on the PRAGMAGICK TikTok. So I did it with the Mitch Horowitz one, and it's it just it's off. It's like
It just feels wrong.
You can tell I had nothing to do with it, but it's mine. But it's mine. You know what I mean? It's my creation, and so that's why I was like, yeah, I'll experiment with it. And I think I did this about a month ago, and I'm here to report like nothing's happening. It's maybe it's because I'm not giving it. That's the thing. It's a beast. You need to feed it. And
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
we're two old men yelling at clouds right now.
Oh, so bad. Like I have hit my Abe Simpson phase.
Yeah.
I really have. Like I can't do that stuff anymore. That's kind of part of the reason why I stopped doing stuff on Substack.
I like this. Maybe social media is in its terrible twos. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I love this anthropomorphizing social media, AI, and the internet that we've been doing.
Yeah, it's either in its terrible twos or it's a three-nager. That's a term I heard when my son turned 3, is that he's a three-nager, and I'm like, no, fuck you. He's just a kid.
Yeah, and did it turn out to be
three-nager? I'm just not gonna call him a three-nager. He's 3.
Yeah, that sounds creepy. Let's see. Can you put those on other platforms? Yes. I have put them. I think I did one as a YouTube short because it's all basically TikTok style now. It's your stories, YouTube shorts. They're all TikTok stuff now. So
it's all the same.
You can just put them wherever. But of course, in my feeble old man brain, I'm like TikTok. For everything that looks like that,
Yeah, isn't that like a big part of Threads too? Like the Instagram shorts and stuff like that are just like basically like TikTok.
There's got to be something going on. I just found it so interesting. There was like the big fight that was going to happen between Musk and Zuckerberg, but right before that, Zuckerberg unleashes Threads. That does extremely well, and then Musk carpet bombs Twitter by changing it to X, which is I kind of commend. It's just it's one of those, is it so dumb it's brilliant kind of moves, I don't know, man. It makes absolutely no sense, and you're like, this guy he either cares too much or doesn't give a shit, and I can't figure it out. But anyways, but I just found that was funny that the news cycle was all revolved around that, and then they were gonna fight. And it was about Threads and Twitter, and it just seemed like this billionaire psyops of just keeping themselves relevant. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
but I thought that was funny.
They were really gonna fight in the first place.
That's funny.
That was just gonna be what is that called when you put somebody else's face on a body? I don't know why I can't deep fake.
Deep fake, yeah.
They were just gonna deep fake their faces on actual fighters' bodies. They weren't gonna actually make contact.
Their weight sizes, it wouldn't even be an exhibition fight. That shouldn't be legal anywhere. Musk is 3 times larger than Zuckerberg.
Well, and according to all the rumors, Zuckerberg is training to be a MMA fighter anyways. So I think small or big, I think he probably would have kicked Musk's ass.
Yeah.
That guy's a soft little rich boy. So
I guess it doesn't matter how big you are if you're on the ground when it comes to grappling or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad we did kind of break open this AI thing, because I think we had enough time. I can honestly say that I'm in a kind of passive resistance to it. Like I'm not offended by it in any way. And I think that
Yeah.
it would happen totally like that. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think there's some like nefarious aspect. I feel like there's something inevitable about it, but I also feel like humans would do that with it, you know? Like
Yeah.
there's a part of the human experience too to feel, you know, godly, or
Hmm.
to feel like, you know, there's, you know, some part of creationism under you, I'm sure, or you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It all makes sense to me now. And I think with the copyright thing, I don't think um
It's not gonna hold people
I
to
will
it.
say that with that means it's basically just a free art program for like YouTubers and thumbnails, or
Yep.
like
Yep.
website art, you know what I mean? But if you
Yeah.
make something cool, someone can make money off of it by
Oh
putting it
yeah.
on shirts, or
Yeah.
so yeah, there's just it's in a weird phase right
Yeah.
now.
I mean, at this point, I don't view it as a threat as much as I just see it
Right.
as like this weird philosophical like demon in a way, where it's just like it's an interesting thing to talk about and think about, and it's, I mean, yeah, I kind of resent the fact that a lot of people view it as being the same as something that a person made. That
Right.
that I find some resentment to, because I have worked at being an artist for 30 plus years,
Hmm.
and the idea of somebody grabbing a program and the next day they're an artist. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not. The machine is.
Right.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
like like
Yeah.
I find resentment in that,
Yeah.
but as far as like a threat, like unless I'm doing it to myself, I don't feel like it's a threat, because I'm gonna keep making stuff the same way I make stuff,
Hmm.
whether or not that exists. But now I have, like, it has inspired me to make some interesting stuff. Like,
Like to like almost as a reactionary to it.
right.
Yeah.
Like the autobiography thing, like it started
Hmm.
out directly as a, this is a thing that is coming out of my just absolute hatred towards AI, and it turned into this entire trip through my childhood and
Hmm.
teenage years, and I like started exploring like the people who influenced me in ways I hadn't even thought of, and just the human parts of what made me who I am, instead of just looking at it through like the lens of art and the lens of AI removing the humanity of art. Is like, I'm a human. These are the things that make me human, and maybe it's time I shared the parts that make me human instead of just like shielding it behind my art.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it's analogous to like say, as we were saying, if Chat GPT is really the memory machine of the internet since it went on to 2020,
You know,
this is you authoring the
this is,
memory machine of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is my memory machine. Up, I did the cutoff up to age 30 for myself, because I basically promised my wife that I would never do stuff about her or my kid,
Uh-huh.
and I never do.
Yeah.
They
I've
get mentioned.
definitely,
They get mentioned, but nothing
yeah.
more than that.
I guess that's where I'm at. Yeah, I've definitely mentioned stuff. That's the other thing. I'm definitely up against. It's weird to write something that is kind of memory and synapse driven, um, but also be present and working through said memories and synapses
Yeah,
with
yeah,
them, and having to relay it, you know, about things you're kind of still going through.
yeah,
Like with Haunt Manual, that's why I was like, I need to just do this like monthly, because I can't. This is not something I just sit and write in one setting, or it's got to be. It's something that's lived, you know.
right,
Like
right, right.
every. So like if when your cutoff is 30, mine is like the other end where it's like it's live, and that's the
Yeah,
thing I find that we both share is we both had a hard time figuring out when it stops.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, between the ages of 30 and 40, that's when I got my shit together and things stopped being that interesting. Like I don't think anything that's happened in my life in the last 10 years people would find all that interesting. Because like the last 6 years would be being a dad. That is literally it, and making art.
Well, and also you've been relatively active the last 6 years.
I
Like,
have, I
yeah,
have.
you've been publishing We the Hollowed, like all of this stuff. Like people can
Yeah,
find that,
it's
but people
live.
don't know what has happened.
Yeah, because
before
like
that. Yeah.
you look at like my Substack and you look at like No Gods But My Own, everything in that was really current. Like that was basically as it was happening, and I never talk about what happened before I was 30 other than in passing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't talk about my brother, I don't talk about my parents, I don't talk about growing up in rural Minnesota.
Here is No Gods But My Own, which was his amazing Substack, which you put on indefinite hiatus, right?
It'll probably come back at some point in time, but I don't know what it's going to be about anymore. I don't know. The readership dropped like a rock the moment I stopped talking about magic.
Yeah.
Like it dropped like a rock, and
Interesting. That's funny.
yeah. I stopped talking about magic, and people stopped paying attention, and it's like, okay,
That's so funny to me because like what a lot of your magic processes too
is making art,
but it was also like about the mundane.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like
yeah.
After 3 books of writing about it in like the span of a year, I think I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
Like if all I ever did was talk about magic at this point, I'd be doing it for money. Essentially, I'd be doing it because it gets me the attention, and I know that magic is something that people pay more attention to. And it's like, if I wanted more clicks and I wanted more readers and I wanted all of that stuff, I would go whole hog on magic. Because people buy that. They don't buy weird fucking art experiments.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense looking back. Like, I've always tried to have just as much helpings of artists that have no kind of direct relation to the occult or magic as I did, ones that are into it. But like the thoroughfare has always been art, and that magic is art.
Yeah.
And these are the anarchic processes of which we parlay these ideas and stuff, and it's through creative processes. But looking back, like I had somebody like John Schmersel, who in my head is like an intensely large figure in a musical community. He was the guitarist for Brainiac, and he fronted Enon, big in the Dayton, Ohio music scene with like the Breeders and all of that stuff, like in my head. But like his community didn't really pay attention to our interview because of magic in the title, and vice versa. My community didn't really listen to that interview so much because of no magic in the content, and that was a realization. It didn't deter me at all. I was just like, well, I always wanted to talk to him. I'm still going to do that. It's never going to be definable in that way. But it is funny you bring that up, because now when I rack my brain about why I haven't talked to many modern occult authors, is because I get that feeling. It's like it feels like they are just incessantly on a book tour. Like they come with pre-written bullet points and things to talk about, and the scopes are limited, and there's not a lot of humor either, which pisses me off. Like, if you don't find magic funny, I'm sorry, you're doing it wrong. Like, this shit's hilarious. Of how, like, even in its like most darkest moments, like it's fucked up and it's funny.
Oh yeah, and like if you can't come to it at like your own kind of context with it either, like I could see a marked difference between like the Damn Machine era of No Gods and the 4-color Grimoire era. I got half as many readers because I was talking about comic books.
Yeah.
Half.
See, and I love that one. That's one of my favorites personally.
And I feel like that one was more about magic than Damn Machine was.
It really was. Yeah, I could agree. I mean, maybe not on the surface, but for sure. Yeah, more about mythology in general, or just like personal folklore, which is,
Yeah,
magical.
And it was like a deep dive exploration of like a pop culture mythology, and that felt way more interesting to me. But it could also be because I love comic books, and that's why I was writing about comic books.
Well, and
But
I
like,
think that's too. There might be something. There might be a kernel in there when we were talking about, aestheticism, or like this weird trend of, literal aesthetics,
yeah,
because it's almost like listeners look for a certain thing instead of wanting to be introduced to something else.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if it has to be so brazenly literal. Like, if you
yeah,
didn't find the subtext of magic in my conversation with a musician who's been creating his own folklore his entire life, like, you didn't hear what we were talking about then. Just
yeah,
because we didn't talk about, you know, like, we didn't drop all the names, or, had
yeah,
all the SEO hits or whatever for
yeah,
your brain to pick up on. And I think that's the thing. It's like people are so reticent to uh be multifaceted or nuanced about shit
yeah,
a lot. It's in the podcasting world anyways. I'm
yeah.
not sure, probably in the music world too. Yeah, I can
But
see that.
like, I mean, people could talk all day. Like, if people are willing to skirt like comic books, like they'll talk about Alan Moore and Grant Morrison and
Right,
magic. They
but
will
comic
skirt
books are
the
goofy.
edge
Yeah.
of like everything that's not them.
Mhm.
Goofy. It's just goofy. And like, there is more magic in comics than just those two guys.
Right.
I love both of them,
Hmm.
but like Rachel Pollack wrote
Yeah.
a run on Doom Patrol that is absolutely amazing. And
Yeah.
she was a well-respected occultist even before she wrote that.
That's a
And
really good point. Yeah, because I often think of like Peter Milligan too, Jamie
yeah,
Delano.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
they loved magic and they loved comic books. And
And
they
they were, but most importantly, like, they were fantastic fucking writers. And
exactly.
like, people that are reading like the Invisibles just for the magic are missing
They're missing so much.
yeah, like, just the kind of entire package. And I see that a lot. It's like, let's have
Yeah.
an Invisibles book club and just like pick apart all of the magical
Yeah.
tethers and stuff. And it's like, God, it's just like killing the hyper sigil in a way, because it's
Yeah.
supposed to be this potpourri. It's supposed to be, this
Yeah,
um
I don't think that's what it was really intended to be
no.
picked apart in like a really scholarly way. It was meant to be experienced.
Well, not only picked apart scholarly, but just to focus on,
Yeah,
like,
that's you're looking for the wrong
pulling
thing.
pulling magical references, though. Not even like the, custom anarchic magic that's all through it that he's
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
people
Like,
miss that. So yeah, I'm not sure what. Oh, did I cut out?
yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Sorry, hopefully I didn't fully cut out. But yeah, I don't know. And to circle back to what I was saying before, I think we're both in a place that we're enjoying, where
Yeah.
we're able to like fund and create and not feel interfered with, and we're able to just make as much as we're able to make. I guess I did
Yeah.
drop out. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's a good space. I definitely see progression. I'm not at all like content, right?
Yeah.
But I do often enjoy the ability to, you know, tour musically, or, put out a book, or, keep up We the Hallowed, or, work with you on sound art, or put out you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be in the like the guise of promotion cycles. And
Yeah.
that might hurt us,
Well, I
but
know it definitely hurt my bottom line when it came to sales.
but at the same, yeah, I mean, of course, we would be inauthentic, I think, to say that we we don't care if people buy our stuff. Like, of course we want people to purchase our stuff. You know
Yeah.
there's immediate gratification in that someone is like helping, kind of fund the plethora of stuff that we're doing, even in the smallest way. Of course that feels good, but I think more importantly, I would just wish people would look and like listen and
Hmm.
share. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when it comes to us having to do that, for so many things, like, where it can be like echo chambered with a select few people, and it doesn't really reach outside, or and
Yeah.
that's where, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of always
Go
been
ahead.
kind of the thing that makes me a little sad when it comes to my stuff is it kind of hits this same circle every time. I'm super
I mean, it's
appreciative
great.
of those
Yeah,
people. Like I love those people. I wish they would show other people.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's a big realization I had too. Um, it's not so much like making money or sales. Like, it never has been about money.
Mhm.
I'm getting old enough now to where I'm understanding how necessary money is, like,
Yeah.
and the woes of all of that. But that's, I'm a little late to the game on that one. Uh,
Yeah.
but before any of all that was always like, I just want people to kind of like try it, like just look, just like give it a read, give it a listen. I mean, I have close friends now I know don't read any of my shit or don't listen to new albums and stuff, and I there's almost like an economy and attention that
Yeah.
is more worthwhile than like the monetary stuff. It's like, even if you don't like it, like just try it. you
Yeah.
know
Well,
it
like
could be
almost
that aesthetic thing, though. I don't know.
yeah, like everything almost everything that's in Wombat is on We the Hollowed for free.
Yeah,
Like everything, even like the Ramblin' comics, the Fly comics, all of that stuff is on We the Hollowed for free. Like if people wanted to try out what I'm selling now, they can find it. It's the same with
yeah.
like No Gods But My Own. Like it was all free.
You're right. They're like, even like the albums or the books or whatever. These are basically just talismanic like totems of a, like the ability to appreciate something, like
Yeah.
by having a part of it, right? Like it's never like the intent to publish it to make sales to like survive or whatever, even though of course everybody wants that. But it really is always like, here, for cheap you can have part of this. Am I
Yeah.
echoing?
I think I'm echoing.
No. Oh, you're echoing to me. Let me try something. Sorry, I don't know what's happening.
Still got an echo? Oh, that's even
I
louder.
don't have an echo. Oh, it is.
Yeah, I can hear myself echoing.
Check.
Check. Oh, there it was again.
Are you echoing?
It's light, but I am echoing. I can't tell if that's on my side or not. Is it both of my mics working at the same time?
I think it's actually me because I'm not using headphones. Here, give me 1 second.
All right.
Check.
Check.
All right. Is that better?
Yeah, I heard nothing on that one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry about that. I guess it just decided it wasn't gonna echo cancel. Hopefully that wasn't doing it the entire.
It wasn't. I didn't
Okay.
catch it until like the last couple minutes, so I think we're good.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, John Side says he can hear you echoing too. Yeah, that's on my end because it's funny, in my work with like sound engineering and haunt manual and all this stuff, and like the kind of psychoacoustics of everything that we're talking about. And the feedback is literally a microphone hearing itself.
Yeah.
And in our processes of like audio engineering, that's the scariest thing. You want to like cancel feedback. It's like, you don't want to overthink. You don't want it to have time to think about itself. You don't want to have time for it to think about its existence. Like, don't let it talk to itself.
Well, yeah, feedback can go crazy.
Yeah, and that's like
Eventually
resonance.
just becomes noise.
Yeah, but yeah, I just always find that funny that you want to, like, the general rule is just to snuff out a microphone hearing itself.
Yeah.
But there you go. A microphone was hearing itself, folks.
Yep.
It was all part of the plan.
Thematically, it bonds it all together.
Yeah. How are you on time?
I got plenty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
going to.
plenty of time.
Sweet. I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. Maybe have a quick bathroom break, and then we can continue on. I figured
All right.
maybe I'll play a song while I do that.
All
It's
right.
a long one, so I'm gonna cut it off before we come back.
All right.
I'll put you on screen though for Wombat. Let's see if this works. StreamYard is acting up today. So everybody, Wombat. Cool.
There it
And
is.
I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
All right.
Check. All right. Yeah. Genocide. Yeah. Thank you. This is it's rare that I have this long of a conversation, and it's also like my morning. So
yeah. So you just finished your coffee, basically.
Yeah. Keats, shake more than twice and you're playing with it. I'm guessing that's the AI thing. But yeah, again, everybody, please check out Wombat, $20. Mine comes tomorrow. I checked the tracking. Was very annoyed it didn't come today for this, but I'm very excited for it. My partner Mary is working with Eric too for her album cover.
Yep.
And she has we just have your book strewn across the entire place. And yeah, she's stoked. We had this idea of we're going to do a mini tour, kind of a lackadaisical tour from New Mexico to Long Beach and then back up to Seattle in October, the second week of October. I say lackadaisical because like some things have been falling through, some things been mutating, and we have at least 2 shows that we're for sure doing. But we're not too worried about it. Anyways, we were thinking about for merch. She was mentioning like making a stencil out of your Moon Division logo.
The logo,
And then
yeah.
us just going to Goodwill and finding fun stuff just to stencil. And
See, that's a great idea. I love that idea. I love that idea. Because I'm really happy with how the stencil turned out too. Like how that logo turned out. It was just like a weird, like one-off idea I had when my cover idea was a little noisier than she liked.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's just part of the process though, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because you know, I just remember her, you know, showing with me, and she'd always be so pensive about it. And I was like, you know, if you're not, you know, feeling something, just tell Eric. Like I've been working with him for years. We're just like flat out with each other. I was thinking more like this, and she's like, oh, okay, you know, like,
oh yeah. Like when I work with somebody, like I know that I'm doing it in service of their project, not mine.
Yeah.
Like I want them to be happy. If I'm gonna work with somebody, I want them happy. I don't give a shit about my own ego. I'm like, I want it to look the way you want it to look.
Yeah.
Like when I did Anthony Tyler's last book, I did the cover of his last book, and it was just like, I want to make a good piece of art, but I want it to be what you want it to be. So if I got to tweak it, I will tweak it.
That is a really cool cover. Hunt Manual from Anthony Tyler, and I shamelessly stole Hunt Manual.
You just
from
added an A.
Well, it's kind of fucked up the more I think about it. I may change it. I don't know. But I straight up told him because I initially thought he titled his book Haunt Manual. And I was like, fuck. That is such a good
title. It's a good title. I think
I was like, that's such a good title. Like it's so good. It should have been mine. And I was like kind of feeling like a little flustered underneath and realized it was Hunt Manual. He was that was the title, and I was like, oh, thank God. But you're right, it's one letter off. It's probably not the best, like the most.
He doesn't seem to mind.
Nah,
he doesn't seem to mind.
Also, it's very different too, but I guess it would be kind of in the same like circles, like sold. So it's something to think about. Yeah. Here it is, and here's your cover. Trying to blow it up, but it keeps
there.
Doing
it is. Oh, what the fuck?
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of my better pieces.
It's so Anthony too. Like, it's kind of perfect, you know, for him as the writer. Yeah.
I remember he got very confused about that red demon and what was going on with the bottom of its face. He's like, is that the nose? It's like, no, it doesn't have a mouth. It's just got a really pointy chin.
That's hilarious. I mean, it is coming out of something, so it's gonna be controlled.
I don't know what I make most
logic of it. It's like, well, you have to see he's coming out of the head of a primal shaman, right? And he's uncorking and unwinding. So I love that internal logic because it makes sense. Yeah, Hunt Manual. Yeah, the more I see Hunt Manual, I'm like, gosh, probably maybe like the collected book will be
something else.
I don't know. It's I'm too far in now, man. Too far in. But
so
yeah, and it is kind of Anthony does have dive manual, so manual is very much like part of
his deal.
Yeah, and manual is very misleading with Haunt Manual because it's more like this isn't a how to do it. This is how someone did it, kind of a thing.
So it's more like a hunt diagram.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, hauntography.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm getting way too crazy with the Cheese Whiz when it's coming to like
haunting.
Haunting things. That and just cheesy made up words and that lexicon. But it's fun because I know with We the Hollowed, we have a lexicon too, and a site that kind of collects some of the vernacular, and I'm going to do the same with this. And and I think that's another thing that might get in the way a lot of this more eyes on things is I think me and you, we tend to like source ourselves more than anything else. And when somebody reads something and they're like, oh, you mean that, especially when it comes to, the kind of mystical side of things. I'm always like, no, I mean this because I didn't know what that was,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and that I can see that's why it's confusing. Like if I just did the grifter thing and used all of the appropriate words, or
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
how you sell stuff. That's how you
Yeah,
sell stuff.
but yeah.
Well, was it Philip Blair that mentioned something about me doing dark comedy? Because it made
Yes.
me think of this one from back in the day. Like
Mound.
it's in the anthology. It's in
Mhm.
the omnibus, but it was what if Cronenberg made the manual for an iPhone? Where it's just this thing that takes over somebody's life, goes a little like Starro the Conqueror on them and takes
Oh,
over.
I love it. It's so apropos.
Yeah,
Speaking of the omnibus, that's hardback.
it
That
is.
is
It is. You can get a
gorgeous.
soft cover or hardcover. That's on the really shiny, nice paper too. That thing almost broke my computer though.
Yeah, I remember.
Like
This
400
thing,
pages. It nearly broke my computer.
yeah, this thing's beautiful. You can find it on We the Hollowed.
Yeah.
Or here, I'll copy the site here. This is basically if your new book of Wombat, that's
Yeah, that would
basically
be.
a collection of recent stuff. This is like all the good stuff from before, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
from that's almost everything from when I first started. It's got. I'd consider all my best stuff, save for one book that I couldn't find the files for,
Mm-hmm.
which made me really sad that I couldn't find the files for it.
It's so beautiful though. It's like one of the forever coffee table editions for us. Yeah, because it's so pretty. Does
It's,
Lulu show you pictures of its actual what it looks like when it's printed? Like
no,
on their site? That's a bummer. It should do that.
it should. It should.
Yeah.
And that is the one book that I forgot to dig out today.
I have it. I could run out of the room and grab it. But here's kind of a cover.
And
Yeah.
I thought I did some excerpts in that article, but maybe I didn't.
Oh,
No.
you're not looking at it, huh? So I was just sharing that. So yeah.
Hey, there it is. There's your intro.
Yep. My forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Sorry, it's all the site's kind of weird with the
It's
layout. But yeah, it's awesome. I love these. Very reminiscent of that. What's it? The Codex.
Oh, Codex Seraphanus. Yeah, that was the direct inspiration for it.
Mhm.
Honestly, it was. I saw that and it cost over $100 for the book, and I was like, I'm gonna make one for myself that somebody could buy for $10.
Yours is yours is the perfect Eric Millar version of that book.
Yeah,
Like, because the original Codex is so mired in like the kind of Renaissance or like it's medieval actually, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like medieval art style. It looks of that time. Yours looks like yours of Eric Millar doing it.
Yeah.
Let loose the skin of man and cloth within the divine. I love it. That guy rules. It's Jodorowsky.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. That's a good tattoo.
Yeah. Man, I don't even remember some of that stuff. Oh, that's
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Aw.
I have the one you rolled dice too.
Yeah, so I have the one you rolled dice too. It's not near me, so I don't remember the title. I bought it years ago. I think this was the Impossible Game, or
it's either Impossible Game. It could be Bottomless Bag or Impossible Game.
It might be Impossible Game, just because I remember that one picked up traction in like the group
Yeah.
that Genocide, I think,
Yeah.
would be privy to.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's the one that now is through an actual publisher. That one's through Microcosm, like a legendary Portland publisher, and
Legendary punk DIY publisher. Big
yeah,
deal. Big deal.
yeah. I don't want to talk garbage about him, so that's about as far as I'm going to go with that one.
Is it on? So yeah, what was your kind of takeaway? So you finally, so it goes back to what we've been talking about self-publishing and what we've been doing with We the Hallowed stuff. Like, what did you learn from finally getting a distributor or someone of repute, to pick up your
Oh,
work? And
they
I should say maybe not what are the missives, but like what is the takeaway? Like what you've learned that you're going to do moving forward.
well,
I'm trying to sugarcoat it.
I think they published it 2 years ago. I think it's been 2, maybe 3 at this point. I have not made a single paycheck off of that thing. And I know they've sold about 400 copies of it.
That is absolutely insane to me.
It's
the most successful thing you've ever done. And yet
it is. I have not made a dime off of it. And I think they have a cutoff for royalties that I have been hovering around like $2 away from.
And so when it hits that,
then I'll get paid.
$2, then you get paid for everything after that, right?
Yeah. Well, no, that's when I get paid for all of the royalties they owe me currently.
Oh, cool. Okay. I was afraid that it would be like, okay, it's like a deductible for insurance or something. It's like you gotta spend this much, and then after this, we'll start taking care of stuff. So how much are the royalties for something like this? Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around like a deal like this.
I make, after their expenses, I get, I think, 5% of the profit.
Only 5%?
Yes, I get 5%, which is why after selling 400 copies, I am not making $400.
Right.
Not even close. If I had been selling that on my own as a print-on-demand book, which I was doing, I would have made $3 a book.
Did they choose to redesign the cover?
They redesigned the entire thing.
I was going to say, this doesn't feel like you, because the original cover was better. Yeah.
Oh, so much better. And I don't even know what the insides look like because they never sent me a copy.
Yeah, and they did it in their like...
It's a zine.
Yeah, it's a niche kind of, zine style kind of printing.
Yeah. Basically, once I get my royalty check, I am asking them to put it out of print and putting the print-on-demand book back out.
Hell yeah, do that, because the Impossible Game print one that you did was awesome.
It's so nice. It's so nice.
I can't find it, right? I was going to look at Amazon, but it's not.
It's out of print. It's out of print. The moment they published it, I had to put it out of print. So anybody that has that,
I love this. Made me think the journal of a good artist who's also a naturalist and visits an alien world. I think
that is exactly what it was supposed to be. So I will take that as the ultimate compliment.
There you go. Yeah, Genocide got the good one.
Yeah, you got the good one then.
As did I. Yeah, those are
collector's item now, I guess.
Well, soon won't be. Fuck. Maybe I'll just buy one from Microcosm and set you over the edge. Is that how it'll work?
I don't know. I don't even know, man.
Yeah, how many do you need to sell to make $2? Like, I
mean, I get basically. I mean, I don't like talking money.
No, for sure. I don't want to ask specifics. I just mean,
but it's like it's not nearly enough for how many they're selling, or how many they sold, and it is very annoying to me.
I know it's sad, but that's how they've done things, and that's how they're still.
That's how publishing works. That's like the big secret about publishing is you hear people talk about how they want to like get their book published, and what they don't understand is like maybe they get an advance, maybe they don't, but you're not going to make money off of your work until the publisher makes money off of your work.
And there's also this air of like prestige, right? When it comes to publishing, it was like, oh, it was good enough that a company is behind it that wants to distribute
Yeah.
it. But really, all of that's bullshit too.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and in this day and age, like back in the day, publishers, like the main reason for publishers to exist is that they had PR arms. Like they had press. They could send it all around, they could do all that stuff, and people can do that work themselves now. So like a publisher, and at this point, publishers have all been bought up by other corporations. Like it's just this big corporate circle jerk that
yeah.
basically gatekeeps people.
I'm not sure about. It looks like Microcosm's still operating kind of in its
They're still
same
their
way.
own thing.
Yeah.
They're still their own thing.
I used to live right by their headquarters, and they had a funky little house as their headquarters, and it's very much just it really is just DIY like punk ethos, but like in a it's like mired in just kind of the internet distribution culture. Like they really just kind of maximize that ethos out, like because their headquarters is just full of books they'll probably never sell, just like all the punk bands I used to play with, like it's just merch just littered their houses, because that's how they did things. And they tour and they sell these things, small press, for bigger numbers, smaller press, that sort of thing. So they really did it right. And I did read a couple of Joe's books, who's the head of Microcosm, and I think he had a great ethos, and he was very much like that business-minded punk kid that
and I got nothing against him. I mean, I as a creator who is used to self-publishing, I don't like how it works, and I used it as kind of an experiment to see if it was actually worth it to try going for a publisher.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's like in that sense, I'm trying to give something analogous, but it would be like if a label that I liked when I was a kid, when labels were still relevant or whatever, like decided to put out a single, you know what I mean? And that was that. But I wouldn't care about it now so much, but it's a nice little like, hey, kind of my 13-year-old self would high five me.
Exactly. And like my parents, the moment I had a real publisher publish something of mine, I was a legitimate bookmaker. The fact that I made like 20 books before that didn't quite put it over the hill, but like a real publisher going, oh yeah, we'll publish your book. Then I was like, I was legit then.
There is just this association with self-publishing, like it's it's bad, or it's not well thought out art, or it hasn't been through a machine yet to refine it for the masses, or some shit like that. And it's just so funny to me because books like yours, which are very art driven, it's like in no place would an editor or a designer or someone come in to change it to make it more appetizing for general audiences, because the idea is that it is what this is. And that's what it is. Like you don't need a PR marketing firm or whatever to help figure out blurbs and shit. It's like
like my original conception of why I wanted to make books in the first place is because I got burned out doing an art show. That is the origin of OutletPress. Is I did an art show at Float On in Southeast Portland.
I remember, right next to my old place.
And I went $1,000 in the hole doing it. I didn't sell a single painting. I worked on it for 8 months of just nonstop grinding on making art, and burned me out. Like I couldn't pick up a brush for ages after that. Like I basically stopped painting after I did that.
Yeah.
And I said, next time I'm just going to make a book. I'm just going to make some art and make a gallery show in a book.
Hell yeah.
And that's what the first book was a collection of that art show. But then after that, like Hand of Law was, I did drawings inside of a law textbook, and I just like, that's my art show, is the book itself.
I love it. They're like, yeah, they're micro galleries in a way, or
Yeah.
portable galleries, right?
Yeah, and that's
Portable
basically
discussion generator. Yeah.
that's kind of how I envisioned like making books. And then, like I came out of like originally I came out of writing horror and stuff like that too. So it's like eventually I was gonna write a book.
Yeah, for sure. And like, do you still have like King Toast published, or is that something you took
No,
off? Yeah,
I took
okay.
that off. That one,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to think about that one anymore. I've been thinking about republishing it because of everything's going on right now.
Yeah, I remember it was really funny, but I only bring that up just because your writing is varied too. Like you do
Yeah.
horror, you do really dark comedy, funny,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
absurdist, you know,
Well, like,
like
yeah, King Toast. The premise is
yeah.
it's Donald Trump if he had a toaster for a head. Because he was full of hot air and he exuded orange.
I love it. And I love it's literature too. It's not
Yeah.
a comic.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
it's literature, and oh yeah,
It's
then
literature.
he has an anus for a mouth.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's if anything, I keep trying to think. I think I need to shield it. I think we grew up at the death knell of the need of record labels and publishing
Mhm.
houses and stuff, and
Yeah,
it is hard to shake. Like, because
it
as a
is. It
kid,
is.
you thought, oh, all of the bands I like are on K Records or whatever, or they're on this
Yeah,
label, or Southern Lord or whatever it is, and like you think that you know that's still the machinations of how things are done today. And I
Mhm.
guess in some degrees there are, but really just for like seasoned like veterans that
Yeah,
have invested or have some other sort of financial kind of outlet, or you know what I mean, or tour all the time, or their books
yeah,
are something like they have something else to kind of feed the money machine, as it were. And it's just interesting, like our generation, there's like almost a trauma of watching the death of that, but also like a revolutionary idea of like, cool, we got it. Like this
yeah,
is what we wanted the entire time, is to say fuck you record labels, or make our own record labels
yeah.
and
Well, I mean,
stuff.
it's
Yeah.
the twilight of the brand being the brand and the dawn
Hmm.
of a person being a brand.
Yeah, interesting. Like, yeah, personality.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
publishers back in the day, you like Columbia Records, like you knew Columbia would make a great record because it
Mhm.
came out of Columbia Records.
They had curators that you
They were
trusted.
curators, and
Yeah.
now everybody just does things on their own. The person is the brand, not the actual publisher. Like publishers and all of that stuff is kind of an afterthought.
I guess I dig that, in the same sense that, you know, you could put out music and I'd check it out because I dig Eric Millar, the creator. You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah,
better, instead of, or like there are parts, some people don't like my music, but they listen to the podcast, or they like,
yeah,
like my writing, or they don't like anything at all, which is mostly, I'm just kidding. But it's very like piecemeal
yeah,
with that. And I think that's better. I think that's awesome, because
yeah,
there's more freedom for us, but maybe there isn't. Maybe that's actually really limiting, because they're giving us a literal aesthetic to ourselves, like our personality.
yeah. And
I
I
don't
mean, like,
know.
I try to buck that as much as possible. Like,
Mhm.
I don't like the idea of being a brand, and I don't like the idea of like just having like the Eric Millar aesthetic.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like naturally why I always gravitated towards writing, or doing projects under like succinct heteronyms, or like,
yeah,
character names,
yeah,
because it felt like that. It was like I in my own brain, I need to separate what these things are, and that helps me with the creative process. But also, it's like I can't be blamed for what Dakota Slim did, dude.
yeah,
you know, like, don't
uh,
blame me, man. I don't know.
yeah.
I
Well,
think that's a cop
yeah,
out, but at the same time, I do find it limiting that there are people that can do it. I think Nick Cave is someone that I think of all the time. That's
Oh
like
yeah,
his books, his music, his films, like his
yeah. That's
acting. They all kind of feel of a Nick Cave
very much
identity.
so, very much so.
Yeah.
And his what are the Red Hand Diary or whatever it is, like his newsletter.
Yeah, the
Like
newsletter.
it's
Red Right
so
Hand.
Nick. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so Nick Cave.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's actually part of what I tried like with Wombat. Like this last year has been a year of like I got burned out. I got so burned out doing No Gods. Like I super burned myself out by trying to like keep myself confined to one thing.
Yeah.
And so like my reaction to getting burned out was like making sculptures. Like I started sculpting Ramblin'. There we go.
Which I love. Like, yeah, another medium as a release from another
like
one.
I just like started making
so cool.
Making clay little figures, and then I made a comic out of the clay figures.
I love it. Yeah. And it's
That's like-
awesome. So here, I'll pull one up, but your photography too, just like your cinematography of them, is something that's brilliant about it as well. Because I would love to get into something like that.
Yeah, I wish I've always wanted to make a stop motion movie, but I think I'd end up like Phil Tippett with Mad God and just be working on it for 30 years and never be done. It's like this perpetual project that is never finished.
Yeah, so this is Ramblin' and Tooth, and it is it's mixed media, but it's really like photography, clay, and literary.
Yeah, and I made little sets. Like that is a little blackout set that I made,
which I love. Yeah, the spring too is genius under Ramblin'.
Yeah, it makes it so he floats without actually being able to, like, you put him on a black background, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's so good. I love this. Like,
yeah, the cast photo.
Oh, I mean, dude, you should do a music video with this.
Oh, I wish I had the time. I wish
know.
I had the time and the patience.
I know. But how do we get that? It's like it's like you can't trust anybody else to do it. You know what I mean?
No,
the way you would envision it, but it'd be funny if the music video is just like a PowerPoint presentation of just your photos. You know, it's made for that. Like,
yeah,
there's got to be something. Maybe there's, and I think that's the other thing too. You know, these ideas, I find this too all the time. Like, I'm very much in service to them, but I'm also enslaved because of time with the ideas. If I have a great idea, I have to shelve it, or I have to tend to it, see if it is something, but it limits more and more and more time, and it takes away from things. And I often find that, you know, stuff with haunt manuals, like lost art and lost ideas and synapses that, you know, I missed out on. How do you structure things? You seem like you're a project focused at a time.
Yeah, I try to be. For the most part, I try to have two projects going at the same time so that I don't burn out on either one of them. If I shift gears back and forth so I can like give myself a little bit of variety so I don't burn out. But like ever since my son was born, I've had to really make my work, my workflow is way different than it used to be. Where
I'm sure. Yeah.
Like I work in little bits here and there. Like whenever I get like a 5-minute point, like I just like write for 5 minutes. Or if an idea hits me, I put it down in my notepad app real quick and then refine it later. And yeah, generally it's all in one project. But yeah, I try.
And then just cycling them. Yeah, scattered.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so scattered now.
I think I'm always just so obsessive about finding like a routinized way to juggle all of my stuff. But I'm with you. I basically, at any given time, it's going to be 3 projects and like kind of combustible parts of them, with like a release one kind of as like a extra, like painting with my grandmother's paints, or like
Yeah.
something I just have no expectation of, or it's not, harbinging, like
Yeah.
you were saying, like just something to break out of the mold, not care what comes out, or free of
Mhm.
judgment, just to experiment, you know. But I think I'm finding with like the podcast in the macro is like that. I'll go months without releasing something because I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'd rather do this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's got to be a way to kind of like tend to it. I think I've found it recently, and it really is just giving very like being easy on myself about loose deadlines, but knowing, hey, this month this needs to get done, this needs to get done, and this needs to get done.
Yeah.
Instead of like this looming, when is it going to happen, or it has to be out by this certain date. It's like it comes out when it comes out, but know that I am focused on it.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. And
and that,
yeah,
yeah,
I give myself pretty solid deadlines on most things, and I probably shouldn't, because I know a couple of things I've released in the past, their quality was less because of the really solid deadline I gave myself. But I give myself generous deadlines now.
I would say that's the same. Yeah, generous deadlines with like I don't speak about them until I'm certain, but
Right.
like the deadlines are in my mind. Like the podcast will come out this week, but I'm not going to say what day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Or
And
the
like,
Hot Manual chapter will also probably be out this week, but probably more like next week. But I'm not going to
yeah.
say what day. But I
No.
know, yeah.
Yeah. And like Wombat, originally, like my deadline for Wombat was the end of the year. Like I'm going to put this book out at the end of the year. And then the other project started to ramp up, and I was like, nope, I'm putting this out now so I can actually put more energy towards something else that I will also put out at the end of the year.
I do like that. You were just, you kind of like snuffed it out. You're like, I don't have any more time. It is what it is. I'm going to be fine with it. My interest is
Yeah.
here. Yeah. And it's great. Like, it doesn't seem like it suffered at all from
Oh,
that.
and like realistically, if I would have added more to it, it would have made it a lesser book.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like
It's
200
more
pages is
succinct.
it's a
Yeah.
really good level. Like it could hold people's attention for a long enough period of time, and it's a solid body of work.
Mm-hmm.
Where like if I had like been like, oh my god, I gotta get something else in here before December, I would have made shit.
Yeah.
Like I would have made filler. I would have made filler.
This is in line with what we've been talking about too, and just the process of the new book, because I've said in that same way, I'm closing the like hot manual experiences end in October, but the chapters will continue to come out probably until the end of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I know the end of where I'm hitting. It hasn't been written yet, but I know where, like, generally where I'm going. So there is like a loose kind of deadline, and I want it to be done in 2023. I think that's important.
Yeah.
But how is that? Because I know you've mentioned with the new book, you're like, how do you know when to end it? Like, it just, I don't. It's a
Yeah.
weird thing. I see the finality because I look back at the last chapters, and I know that I'm itching to edit, revise, design, and I know that there's 2 or 3 left. Like, in my heart of hearts, there's something intuitive about it where I'm like,
Yeah.
there's maybe 2, 3 max chapters left, and then I just need to like rip off the band-aid and be like, start editing for print and doing all of that. Like, how do you deal with that with this new book?
I mean, that's a tough one because I don't even know. Like, I don't know if it's done.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I got my ending. Like, I know how it's gonna end. Like I know how it's gonna end. I just don't know. I don't know how much more to put in the inside of it, because I feel like the last couple of like things I remembered and put in there feel like those are like, it's like a good solid core.
End. Oh yeah.
And the end fits really well because like this book is going to have the same kind of cellular structure that Disparate Parts did, where the text is going to be small sections. There's going to be a couple bigger ones in there, but it's going to be like a lot of like 500 to 700 to 1,000 word sections.
Yeah.
That I'm going to move around. And
That's the thing, being discerning about like, because if I don't say, or if I don't have a loose deadline to cut myself off, it will forever be worked on. Like,
yep,
it will
yeah,
never end. And that's why I came to you and was like, I have a revelation about Haunt Manual. I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say it's volume 1. You know, like,
exactly. That's
yeah,
perfect. That's the perfect
yeah.
way of doing it, though.
Or no, the cheat is to end it how I end it, but then when I do it again, that's when the volumes start. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So the first one can just be Haunt
yeah.
Manual, and the second one comes out, it's like
Volume 2.
volume 2. Yes.
Yep.
It was always intentional, right? To
Yeah.
do in volumes. But I think, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, like, I know it's weird for the like writing of the present or the yet to be like
Mhm.
happened to. There's chapters that I have written that haven't come out yet that I'm itching because I'm so like experienced now. Not as much as you are with your stuff, you know,
Mhm.
like with years, but like with me with like months or even weeks. And this is like this hyper revelation chamber
Yeah.
where I'm like, I have to cut it off at some point because I would like to rest or focus elsewhere because it's just high intensity all the time, you know,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
content.
And
Yeah.
that's what my problem has been with mine too, is like, I guess like my cutoff was how much trauma do I think an audience can
Yeah.
handle? Because
Yeah.
like sadly the book is chock full of trauma.
Yeah.
And
I like how you put it, how much the audience can handle. You know,
yeah,
it's not
well,
so
I mean,
much like
like,
how much you want to relive or where it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
I
that's a
keep
good,
I keep
yeah.
thinking I can relive it all the time because I already do. Start with volume
I'll call it
3.
a new dope. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I can relive it because I already do.
Right.
Like I like those memories already kind of haunt me in a lot of ways, and the trauma left its mark. But like it's gonna leave a mark on other people when I share it.
Yeah. I
And
mean, that's a good point.
how much do I want to mark them up with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess in a weird way, I always feel there's like a just a general apathy when people read my stuff. Like they read it like it's a character in something,
Mm,
or like they don't internalize it, or like have.
yeah,
So that's interesting to think. I guess I've never thought about it like that. Like, oh shit, I hope I don't spark something, and they
yeah,
start role playing, you know, in
yeah.
their mind. But I guess that's what reading is in a way.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things. I know they did a study on it, and the more somebody reads, the like the more robust their empathy is,
Right.
because reading is an act of embodying somebody else.
Yeah.
And
I definitely feel that way.
yeah,
I just maybe I need to give the general public a little more credit, you know,
yeah.
or the general public, like they care who I am, you know. But yeah, it's just interesting to think about. I never considered the audience, like the
Yeah,
audience, but not only just I never considered the audience. Of course, that's not true. I mean, like I never considered how much the audience could take. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or like,
yeah.
is there like a power relate dynamic? Like, does it get abusive when?
I don't know, because
Yeah,
like
it's
you would think that,
interesting.
like, to me personally, it's been therapeutic
Hmm.
to put a lot of the trauma I went through, especially the stuff from when I was like a late teenager, early 20s, is to like look at that as a 42-year-old and be like, that was really fucked up. That was a
Yeah.
really, really messed up time to live through, but I can look at it 20 years later and I can see the entire shape of it now. And
You almost are looking at it as though I would think other people would look at it. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Because you're so removed from it now, or like
yeah,
it's just it happened to somebody else, right? It happened to
basically.
a specter of self that I'm not that person anymore. So
Yeah, and yours is more, it is what is happening right now.
yeah. And yeah, and what like how how it's being affected from the past or whatever, but also like the future and that kind of temporal element. And you're right, there's yours, like, I just feel like there's a wisdom to it. Mine is very like, it's just a very ramshackle kind of, this is how I don't get fucked up by my past. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. You're like pre-working it.
yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. We had
Yeah.
talked about this too, about trauma, about, when I was doing interviews and people were like misunderstanding about what Haunt Manual was, and like,
Mhm.
you know, like me trying to rewrite the past or something. I don't think
Yeah.
they were mistaking me, but they were mistakenly comparing it to somebody who had similar ideas, but their whole thing was to rewrite like the
Yeah.
past.
And I think
Yeah,
that's really, really dangerous.
I do
Like,
too.
I think examining the past is a good thing.
Mm,
Rewriting it like it never happened, or like how like it happened in the way that you idealize it,
right.
that's role play.
Yeah.
That turns your past into role play.
I want to commune with it. Like, I want to get to know
Yeah.
it. I want to name the demon and buy it coffee, sort of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this whole, it's weird. It's a weird conundrum, because as much as I am like, my motto is customize everything. Like,
Yeah.
I I don't want to customize the past. That's like maybe a limit that I have about that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I do in some degrees, because
Well,
it's
I
fun.
mean, here's
Like,
here's the thing about customizing the
no.
past is you
Mhm.
are the past
I'm
customized.
yeah, I'm the
You are
the
that.
generator. Yeah.
The past customized into you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you react to trauma, so you change how you act.
Yeah.
And like
With a
active
microphone hearing itself from the past. Yeah.
yeah, like actively engaging with the trauma is a new way of dealing with the trauma. It's a different way. It's not like,
Right.
I
It's not
mean,
rewriting it.
it's not
Yeah.
rewriting it. It's
Just
just
dancing with it.
it's dancing with it and
Mhm.
like, just seeing it for what it is.
But yeah, that was a scary, you know, I don't know. That was a scary thought experiment about how many people like really relished in that idea of kind of magical means to rewrite the past. Or it
Yeah.
seemed like this, like almost like mass hypnosis, or like a mass
Yeah, yeah.
misremembering kind of tool. I of
Yeah.
course I don't know it very well, and I'm just going with automatic thoughts that I had when
Yeah,
I heard
yeah.
that.
Well, and like I'm going, yeah, like I know we're thinking of the same person and the same
Mhm.
ideas, and like I was going off of like interviews and things I was hearing, and it just didn't
Mhm.
feel right. It didn't pass the smell test for me. Like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, it had like it feels like it kind of had the same DNA as The Secret, where
Oh, I see.
it's
Okay.
like you take New Thought and you just take it and you try to boil it down into this thing that everybody can do and it's good for
Right.
you,
You
just
do
like
it
it's
to your memories.
always good. But you're doing it to your memories.
Yeah.
It's a way of engaging with your past and a way to recontextualize it. But it's like you can't you can't change the past. It's
Yeah.
there.
It's
It
like
happened.
it is like a self hypnosis NLP past, you know, transmission or something. It's
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
and it just like, with the book that you're writing now, it's, I think that's why I brought it up, is because we both share that
Yeah.
you're not doing it to do that. Like, it's
No,
not.
no. It's
You're very
blunt.
much living into it, and yeah.
It's very blunt, and there
Mhm.
are a couple of things I haven't like really talked about publicly before, and like I hesitate to like they're the things that are on the fence right now because they are pretty dark and they might affect people that I don't want to affect, but like these are things that a person has to deal with. Like you can't run away from it, you can't rewrite it, you can't make it go away. It's a
Yeah.
thing, it's a part of you, and like the act of writing this book had very real world consequences when I was visiting my family like a month and a half ago
Right. Yeah.
because I was working on it and a lot of stuff got stirred up and it led to an actual conflict with members of my family.
Hmm.
Like it led to a conflict that had been boiling for 20 years and I had never dealt with it. I had never really like thought, okay, I need to like
You're
deal with
getting
this.
you're having like actual symptoms from the poison finally.
Yeah,
like
and so I was
long
like,
gestating. Yeah.
yeah, this conflict has been needing to happen for 20 years,
Hmm.
and I've been avoiding it, and now living through like what I lived through and going, no, I'm not going to just be okay with it. Like
Yeah.
I need this cut out. Like this is a wound that I've had for 20 years, and it is time to get rid of the scar tissue and let new skin, get rid of the wound, let new skin grow.
Yeah.
And that
No, I love that.
the
The
only way
only
you
way
can do it
through.
is
Yeah.
conflict. The only way
Yeah.
to do it is with some sort of conflict. You can't rewrite it, you can't reimagine it, you can't cover it up because it's still going to be there. So you have to engage with it.
Do you have a working title for this book you want to share?
It has been cycling through a lot of things. I'm actually not. I have to look and see what I have it at right now.
Nice.
Because it was originally The Lines Draw a Memory Machine, and then I was like, that's too mechanical, and it's
That's a
now
big theme though with
it
your
is
works. Yeah.
it is, and I changed it to like right now I'm leaning towards Lines Grow the Memory Garden.
Lions or lines?
Lines, as in draw lines.
Yeah. I love it. Lines draw the memory gardens. That's a very like whimsical title. I like it.
It is for a very much not whimsical book.
Well, I'm sure that if folks go and sign up to wethehallowed.org, you'll see on the side it's got an email list. Anything and everything Eric does is definitely promoted on We the Hallowed.
Yep.
And it's basically it was a collective. It's turned into just a funnel for Eric and I's disparate works both together, separate, but right here. Give us a fake name, give us an email. You'll be updated anytime there's a post on the website. That's also, you'll be notified for like PRAGMAGICK and all that good stuff. Eric, have you ever thought about a Patreon or something akin to that?
Nah, like I have this weird thing about Patreon where I like the way I look at it. If somebody wants to financially help me, they should just buy the book.
That's fair enough. Yeah. I've been really enjoying it because it has been for something that I do that's like there's a lot of combustible parts, like say the podcast or the streams, or you know what I mean? Like things that can exist and go away. Like it's been nice to, share those things plus things of different edits and drafts and work music and basically just a funnel for all of the artistic stuff that I do. And yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. It's basically the only social media that I use kind of the most because I do feel in service to it. Like if I'm going to post something, it's going on Patreon first.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is patreon.com/pragmagick. And for $1, you can get all the goof juice. Like I said, I really have been having tons of fun with it. I have, what is it over now? I've got over, it's like some insane amount of posts that I have on there, which is crazy. But yeah, for $1, you get all the, like, people have heard the Ren Collier full unedited interview, when I did it. They could have even seen the stream, which is in public and is going to be the next podcast, stuff like that. It's kind of become the funnel of the disparate parts, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah, it's just something to think about. I think like something that's just kind of a little tip in the hat, to your continuous work, or Chet Zar, who became a patron. He has one and he posts all the time about works in progress, like his art and stuff. And I was like, oh man, Eric would probably kill it here.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I already feel like I engage too much.
Oh yeah. Well, that's why like it gives me an excuse to not be so bountiful on social media, because I'm like, I have an incentive for with the Patreon. Oh yeah, sorry. I think I There we go. It's the HTTPS. Oh, thank you. And yes, Jonocide is already a patron. I love it. Again for the first time. Appreciate it. And I say all this because Eric and I, we do a ton together. He is the illustrator for Haunt Manual. So if you're a fan of Haunt Manual, or a fan, like, it's not really a fan thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you subscribe to Haunt Manual, then it is all of Eric's art. He's basically the de facto artist for pretty much all of anything literary that I do, or for PRAGMAGICK, for We the Hallowed. So this is basically all of his art.
Yeah, I even did that weird manipulated photo
of me when I was.
I did that one
16.
unprovoked.
I love
You
it.
sent me the photo. I was like, I'm just gonna fuck with that photo.
Yeah, it's very unsettling. Even it's for me, especially. Like, it's kind of like some Lovecraftian, like, look into the abyss, But yeah, so and then subscribe to Haunt Manual, which is also a thing. Of course, everything gets funneled through We the Hallowed, though, eventually, if not immediately. But for Eric, I think all of your links are out. Is it still OutletPress Linktree?
Yeah. I ended up getting. I have too many followers as OutletPress that I can't really discard the OutletPress like moniker.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah.
Like,
so there you go. I'm gonna put this. Follow him on all the socials. Again, I think we're pretty good about anytime you post something like a work that's out or that you're doing, it's usually through like We the Hallowed. So,
yeah, I was cross post between No Gods and We the Hallowed these days.
So there you go. Love it. There's basically all of his most recent works in print, that's really nice. My link tree, I've got to redo. Have you seen these universe sites?
You showed me, and I couldn't quite figure out how to like do it properly for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I messed with it. I couldn't figure out how to edit it either. I brought it up the other day and was trying to edit it and have fun with it. And I think you have to have an iPhone or an app to do it or something.
Yeah.
Or I did it on. You can't do it on your phone or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like pragmagick.univer.se, and yeah, it's basically like a link tree. I just really like it. It looks slicker,
Yeah.
So,
there was
the famous. That's the famous.
That is the image.
Scavenge Rituals drawing Eric did for Revel Ross. So there it is.
Yeah. I got that one done in like 2 hours.
And it's now become like an iconic. I post everywhere. It's like fucking profile pic for everything now. But yeah. So yes, please check out. Is it not switching? All right. Yeah, check out his new book. I'm really excited. I'm definitely gonna, shout it out when I get my grubby hands on it tomorrow. When it comes in the mail.
Yeah.
So it's Wombat, but it's the same book, not the same name.
Yeah.
I'll let you.
Oh, I already did that. Let me see here. Because it's got like the redone operator's code.
Yeah, I love it. That one especially. The buried.
No, the flies.
Yeah. That was such a cool little thing though too. I love the.
I held that idea for so long.
You can tell I'm out of practice because John's like, wait, there's a new book. It's like, shut up about it already.
Yeah, it's
just want to make sure everybody knows there's a new book.
New book.
Yeah, new book. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
I will definitely check in with you later.
Oh yeah.
I've got to get cracking on finishing this podcast, work on the Haunt Manual thing, and then I've got like a 70-hour work week starting tomorrow. So I'm trying to get as much done as I can with this small free time, and hopefully coast off of that for a week.
Yeah. I just have a 6-year-old to chase after in like a couple hours.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Yeah. And thank you everybody for showing up and watching again. Just I think we live in an economy of attention, and so you giving us a little of your time means a lot. And yeah, share, do all the stuff. If anything grabbed you, make sure to let other folks know. Yeah, any last words?
Not that I can think of.
Good.
Buy the book.
Buy book. All right. Anyways, big love everyone, and haunt on.
When we are doing the will of our true self, we are inevitably doing the will of the universe. In magic, these are seen as indistinguishable. That every human soul is in fact one human soul. It is the soul of the universe itself. And as long as you are doing the will of the universe, then it is impossible to do anything wrong.